a completely bizarre hands-free pie-eating contest captured in the United States back in 1937. A medical marvel and tragedy, showing a man suffering from an absolutely massive tumor on his back in 1899. An incredibly eerie and somber portrait of a Victorian widow in deep mourning during the 1870s. An indigenous Aleut man wearing a completely waterproof coat made entirely from sea lion intestines in 1900 Alaska. Looking like a medieval knight, a French infantryman wears a heavily armored face shield during World War I. German hyperinflation was so severe in 1923 that children literally made kites out of worthless money. A terrifying look at an early completely unshielded medical X-ray machine being used in the 1900s. A bizarre 1938 spy gadget featuring a revolver equipped with a tiny camera that snaps a photo just before firing. Traveler James Rickalton posing alongside two towering giants from Kashmir in 1903, with one standing almost 8 feet tall. A rare 1992 photo showing the mayor of St. Petersburg alongside his deputy, a young Vladimir Putin. A topless woman arguing with a lifeguard in 1939, pointing out that men were also legally required to wear shirts at the beach. A young, incredibly muscular Arnold Schwarzenegger dominating the cover of Mr. America magazine in 1969. A partially shaved President Ronald Reagan greets passengers in 1989. Do you know the real reason behind this bizarre haircut? Let us know in the comments. A woman modeling a terrifying wire face mask and heavy knee pads meant for playing basketball in 1920s America. A hidden casino security guard keeping a close watch on the gambling floor from the catwalks of Nevada in 1968. The stunning and elegant American actress Nancy Kovac, beautifully photographed during the 1960s. An incredible before and after, showing early groundbreaking facial reconstruction surgery for a burned pilot in 1917. A massive victory pyramid made entirely of 12,000 captured German helmets in 1918 New York. Long before trucks existed, milk delivery in the 1880s was actually done using small carts pulled by dogs. Looking wildly complex, Raul Pescara's 16-bladed helicopter leaves the ground to attempt a world endurance record in 1924. A historic technological milestone, as the very first massive computer is carefully delivered to an office in 1957. This creepy mechanical crawling baby toy from 1871, would you ever let your children play with something this terrifying? Setting an insane world record, Jose Mefri speeds behind a car to hit 125 miles per hour on a bicycle in 1962. Royal Air Force cadets practicing formation flying using strange winged bicycles over their handlebars in 1942. Bizarre and claustrophobic early diving suits dating all the way back to 1613 and 1797. A haunting look inside a dimly lit and crowded opium den in Shanghai, 1936. Legendary showman Buffalo Bill Cody posing with his Native American performers in 1886 New York. Tennis legend Helen Wills reaching for the ball during the 1924 Summer Olympics in Paris. The German Bicycle Corps marching in a massive parade to celebrate Adolf Hitler's 50th birthday in April 1939. A hilarious fishing failure caught perfectly on camera back in 1942. The bizarre radio girls, stage performers wearing massive antenna headpieces for a review in 1924 Vienna. Dictator Benito Mussolini casually going for a drive with his pet lion cub named Ras in 1924. Inventor Hugo Gernsback proudly modeling his bizarre and futuristic television goggles in 1963. A tense misunderstanding in 1945 as a Russian soldier tries to buy a bicycle from a German woman in Berlin. Women meticulously assembling telephones in a London factory back in 1924, following the introduction of automatic exchanges. American servicemen having a bit of fun riding a massive 5-seater bicycle in 1944, England. The legendary Marilyn Monroe glowing on the set of the classic film Some Like It Hot in 1959. The exact moment a 13-year-old Princess Elizabeth met her future husband, Prince Philip, in 1939. Extreme elegance demonstrated as a woman shows how a true 19-teens lady maintains her poise in any situation. The LAPD using a disguised officer as bait to catch a violent purse snatcher in 1960. A deeply unsettling before and after photograph showing the dramatic change in an early lobotomy patient in 1919. Looking like a sci-fi torture device, this was a 1930s diathermy heat treatment used for beauty culture. Strange roadside attractions featuring actual dinosaur footprints excavated and put up for sale in 1954 Texas. Highly suggestive and risque postcards like this were surprisingly popular and widely circulated in the 1920s. A highly unusual strategy using a trained guard dog to keep a rebellious cow from escaping in 1968. A terrifying winter thrill as a man launches his sled off a massive ski jump in London, 1933. Bertha Benz in 1888, famously known to history as the first woman in the world to ever drive an automobile. A rather dangerous 1920s date, featuring a brave woman and an extremely flexible circus performer. The Green Monster, a terrifying jet-powered car designed to shatter land speed records in 1970. Reckless youth captured on camera as a teenager jumps a moped right over his brave friends in 1970s America. A rare and happy glimpse at newlyweds Barack Obama and Michelle Robinson smiling in Chicago, 1992. Scottish soldiers posing proudly in their traditional kilts right before heading to the World War I front lines in 1915. The brutal reality of Victorian beauty standards, where extreme corsets permanently deformed women's ribs. A surprisingly casual moment as Catholic nuns relax and play slot machines in 1971 Australia. A heartbreaking reality of conflict showing very young child soldiers fighting in Angola, 1975. A terrifying experiment testing a car's absolute resistance by striking it with a 3 million volt lightning discharge in 1942. Tensions boil over as English communists clash violently with London police during a 1930 anti-unemployment march. A brave Electrolux vacuum salesman calmly demonstrating his product at a Swedish nudist camp in the 1940s. Pure desperation in 1939, as Finnish troops use a giant homemade slingshot to launch grenades at invading Soviet forces. Two men carefully and meticulously constructing a plaster death mask in New York around 1908. the heavy burden of history. Captain Paul Tibbets just 1 minute before the takeoff that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. A beautifully preserved and striking photograph of traditional sumo wrestlers in 1890s Japan. Extremely weird experimental boots designed for U.S. Special Forces to leave fake footprints during the Vietnam War. A terrifying medical practice from 1910, attempting to cure rheumatism with an electrified water bath. German light machine gun bicycle troops lined up wearing gas masks during the dark days of 1939. Authentic Indian fakirs performing intense feats of bodily endurance and focus in 1902. The massive endless barrels of wine supplied to keep the French army marching during World War I in 1915. During the Civil War, half of all paper money was completely counterfeit. Can you spot the fake in this picture? German agricultural students in 1934 using bizarre wooden leg stools to properly learn how to milk cows. The stark poverty of the Great Depression, seen inside a one-room schoolhouse in 1937 Alabama. An early and somewhat crude look at rhinoplasty, or plastic surgery nose jobs, in the 1920s. A playful 19th century husband and wife swapping their gendered outfits for a humorous studio portrait. A highly questionable form of entertainment, showing people playing around with live alligators in the USA, 1939. A Dutch man receives a fine in 1931, simply for wearing a bathing suit that showed a little too much skin. Long before fame, a 14-year-old Brad Pitt poses with his middle school basketball team. Writer Ernest Hemingway posing proudly with his 3 sons and a giant marlin catch in the 1935 Bahamas. A secret witness wearing a full blackout mask while giving evidence in a 1952 Washington courtroom to hide his identity. The shocked and delighted faces of the crowd during a burlesque dancer's performance in 1966 Los Angeles. Eccentric aristocrat Baron Walter Rothschild casually riding a giant tortoise through his UK estate in the 1890s. Steve Reeves, the iconic 1950s professional bodybuilder and actor who set the ultimate standard for physical perfection. An incredibly heavy German couple taking a ride in a specially reinforced horse-drawn carriage in 1912. 2 fearless police officers apprehending a robbery suspect hanging dangerously from a New York fire escape in 1964. Children sitting comfortably inside the massive craters of the Willamette meteorite in 1911 New York. A completely different era showing women walking freely and fashionably on the streets of Kabul in 1972. Pure dedication. An excited girl clutches a patch of grass simply because Ringo Starr stepped on it in 1964. A surprisingly modern-looking school dentist office operating and treating children in 1956, Copenhagen. The flawless and timeless beauty of Hollywood legend Marilyn Monroe, beautifully captured in 1950. Way ahead of its time, showing a woman effortlessly charging her early electric car at a station in 1912. Quality control in 1947 Azerbaijan, as inspectors meticulously check massive bowls of pure black caviar before packaging. The iconic Betty Brosmer, famous in the 1950s for having the most incredibly impossible waistline in Hollywood. A deeply unsettling sight as British children try on mocking Adolf Hitler masks in 1938 London. The towering Icelandic giant, standing nearly 7 feet 8 inches, happily surrounded by admirers in 1950. Martial arts legend Bruce Lee gently teaching his young son, Brandon, how to fight and defend himself in 1966. The undisputed king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, casually signing autographs for adoring fans in 1959. A woman in the Wild West wearing a bizarre full-face mask simply to protect her skin from the harsh sun in 1919. A game warden showing off a confiscated, massive duck-hunting shotgun that weighed an unbelievable 250 pounds. The smiling crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger completely unaware of the devastating tragedy awaiting them in 1986. The stunning American actress and popular pinup model Eve Meyer posing elegantly for the camera in 1955. A brave little ship's cat balancing carefully on the massive gun barrel of a Royal Navy battleship in the 1940s. An incredibly rare discovery, actual 15th century linen underwear found perfectly preserved inside an Austrian castle. Greek dancers performing an incredibly unique and challenging routine involving wooden barrels during a 1963 festival. A waitress in 1970s Tokyo using a bit of physical humor and charm to entertain a seated customer. A fully equipped, luxurious traveling beauty parlor set up right inside a bus in 1930s London. A fascinating selection of painted masks and items used to disguise severe facial injuries during the early development of plastic surgery in 1895. Beating the intense heat in 1926 by happily eating ice cream while sitting directly on massive blocks of ice. A young boy operating the manual scoreboard at Griffith Stadium, peeking out of the slot during a 1956 baseball game. French dancers using bizarre, vibrating hip slimming machines in a popular 1960s Paris beauty salon. A grim look at early 20th century poverty inside a cheap New York flophouse, where exhausted people literally slept on ropes. The sheer scale of Mount Rushmore, showing a brave worker carefully hand-carving the massive eyes of a president in 1944. Absolute disaster strikes as a Royal Air Force plane is completely embedded into the roof of a British home in 1963.